Kenda John is an 18-year-old schoolgirl who has had bad luck with her parents. During the day, she seems to be an ordinary schoolgirl from a rich family, which many envy, but few people know about what the girl does at night. Avoiding communication with classmates, John constantly falls asleep at recess and does not want to be friends with anyone. Her mother drives an expensive sports car, and it seems that the girl has everything she can dream of. In reality, her mother is in the business of selling white powder, and her daughter has to work hard since childhood to support herself. In a terrible family, she became not a favorite child, but a courier, distributing bags of powder around the city. John dreams of living a normal life, but her mother only beats her, forcing her to break the law to make the businesswoman even richer. Han Yun Thok is a young boy who lives with his father and two younger brothers. Late for the bus, the overly kind schoolboy decides to help an old man who can't figure out his new cell phone. The kid's kind-heartedness leads to trouble, but a neighbor is willing to bail Thok out and give him a ride home since today is the anniversary of the day his mother left this world. Thok blames himself for what happened because he was always arguing with his mother and spoiling her mood. Now he tries to take care of the family, but his younger brother Jag is always disappearing somewhere. John faces another problem as someone stole several bags of white powder. Her mother suspects even her, so she beats her daughter during the interrogation, valuing money more than her own child. Meanwhile, Thok learns that his younger brother is in the hospital. Jag beat up the guy harassing him, and his mother demands financial compensation or he will go to jail. She insults the brothers because of their mother's absence, and they would like to hit her, but they don't confront her by paying the compensation. John continues to be harassed at school and goes through her briefcase. The girl reacts aggressively and smashes a classmate's phone, after which she is called to the teacher to explain the behavior. John does not want his mother to be called to school and promises to make amends, but the girl, who wants to be her friend, stands up for her classmate. In the evening, John returns to work as a courier, as she suddenly notices that she is being followed. The girl tries to hide, but meets a friend from school. At the same moment, she is attacked by an inadequate mother, once again beating her daughter for poor work and low profits. While Thok blames himself for what happened to his mom, John dreams of taking his mother's life. The next morning, Himi continues her attempts to befriend John. She saw the girl's scandal with her mother and her leg injury, so she offers a band-aid and milk so she can treat the wound and relax a bit. Meanwhile, Thok is trying to find a way to make a lot of money to make amends to the mother of the guy who was beaten up by his younger brother. All the alleged ideas like waiter and bartender don't make sense because Thok will make pennies and he needs at least 2 million won. In the evening, he meets with an extortionist who insults his brothers growing up without a mother. The woman promises to sue Ja and demands not 2 million won, but 3 million won. Thok could have turned to his father for help, but he's not used to doing that because his father has had a hard time since his mother's funeral. Taking it upon himself to protect his family, Thok has to solve all the financial difficulties on his own and not involve his father in them. Soon John admits to the girl, whom he began to consider a friend, that she is not rich and does not live in a luxurious mansion. The car, money, and status are just a deception so that no one knows about what she really does. 3 bully girls harass John over a broken cell phone and demand that she make amends as soon as possible. Realizing that John doesn't have the money and that not only her friend, but also her, can be beaten up, Himi offers to apologize to them. Soon it becomes clear that Himi only wanted to be friends with John because of her financial well-being, so the girls become estranged again. After receiving a message from her mother, John goes to the office to pick up another load of goods. She notices that her mother's assistant is growing some herbs and learns that each bush costs a fortune, and it is from them that they produce illegal substances. Using forged documents, John sneaks into the nightclub to meet the buyer. She meets Himi on the way out and learns that the girl apologized to the rich bullies to befriend them. The buyer of the illegal substances is their friend, and John realizes the danger this poses to the girls. Scared for Himi, she returns to the club to save her classmate, but it's too late. Her friends have escaped and the girl is lying on the floor not breathing, so John calls the police and an ambulance, using his phone to work as a white powder courier. Realizing she is at the scene, John escapes and calls a work colleague to enlist her support. The mother learns of the incident and assumes that her daughter set her up on purpose. The woman wants to take her own daughter's life and demands to find her as soon as possible. Trying to help John, a coworker steals some money and rushes to meet her. After giving the money and buying a bus ticket, the coworker asks John to leave and hide in a small town for at least a month until her mother calms down. Upon arrival in the small town, the girl succumbs to the memories of Himi and is severely distressed to see the ghost of her former friend. Here she also meets Tak, who considers the girl's behavior strange because she says that she committed a crime and took the life of a man. John tries to rent a room in the hotel, which her colleague pointed out to her, but she needs to wait until the evening. She also needs to find a man named Peter, but no one here has heard of him. Suffering from stomach pains, John walks into the first cafe he comes across, where he meets Thak again. John falls asleep at a table and then escapes, losing almost all his money. Meanwhile, the police investigate the crime, trying to find the culprits of the fact that the schoolgirl Himi lost her life. They immediately become suspicious of the girl in the cap and black clothes, but can't figure out who she is. In the evening, John again tries to rent a room, but it requires documents. She has to enlist the help of a stranger to pretend to be her boyfriend and help her rent the place. Severely experiencing what happened, John dreams of going to America with a colleague, but it is necessary to wait a little. In the morning, she discovers the loss of money and returns to the cafe. Thak has found the money and wants to return it to John, as he suddenly notices that he has been robbed. John doesn't believe the guy, assuming that he hid the money on purpose to embezzle it for himself. She blackmails Thak and promises to report him to the police if he does not return the missing money by the evening. On her way back, John spots the stranger from yesterday who helped her check into the hotel. Jay is caught by the police because he forged documents as a minor and bought cigarettes. The guy doesn't want to be punished, so he points to the girl as a witness that the bullies made him do all this. John wouldn't want to get involved with the police, but there's no choice as she has to repay Jay for helping her. Meanwhile, the police are questioning the leader of the schoolgirls, who spent the evening at a nightclub with several guys. The lawyer and mother shield the girl from uncomfortable questions, but at some point she decides to tell them that she saw the guys putting something in her drink. Frightened, she offered her friends to run away, but the guys would not let them go. To trick them, she left Himi as if she were bail, after which the girls escaped safely. The cops realized that Himi was the victim of criminals who used illegal substances to take the girl by force. Songhu is a criminal who has been suspected of doing similar things more than once, but the police still have no proof. At the same time, the girl reports that the man in black in the video is John. The police try to talk to her mother and find a possible witness, but she has disappeared. The detective guesses that John was a courier and was there for a reason, but he has no proof of this. Realizing that Jay is a minor and his father is out of town, the cops call his older brother and ask him to come to the station. Before doing so, Thak reviews the video camera footage and learns that the younger brother stole the girl's money. At the same time, a scuffle breaks out at the station involving Ran, a sweet schoolgirl defending her mother from the insults of her karaoke bar patrons. Upon learning that Jay's older brother is Thak, John demands her money back. Thak orders his brother to return the stolen money, but he has already given it to the blackmailer woman. John doesn't have money to pay her rent, so Jay offers to let her stay with them. Being in despair, John calls his coworker and asks her not to forget about her as her situation is getting worse every day. Upon returning to the hotel, John notices the police officers and assumes that Thak has told them about her. Returning to her boyfriend, she has an argument with him as she suddenly notices that he is watering unusual plants that she has already seen in her mother's study. Going to the nearest internet cafe, John checks the plant information and becomes convinced that Thak is watering an illegal plant used to make fun pills and white powder. After learning of its incredible value, the girl decides to use the field for her own enrichment. Jay has fallen in love with John and dreams of having her live with them, so he instigates his younger brother to do so. At the same time, the girl meets his older brother and declares that she will live with them for the next month until the brothers reimburse the stolen amount of money. Appearing at the guy's house, John learns that their father is a policeman and she needs to study his work schedule to avoid being caught by him. After getting comfortable living conditions and a laptop, the girl looks for news about the situation in the bar to understand how the investigation is being conducted. At first, she hardly leaves the room, but Thok shows concern and leaves a note asking for food. A couple days later, the brother's father gives a lecture at school about the dangers of smoking. Jae isn't interested in listening to it, so he walks out of the school and notices John. Soon the pair find themselves in a field with a plant, and Jae agrees to become the girl's sidekick to grow and sell the product together. Classmates Ran and Guki hear this and want to join in, creating a real gang. In the evening, the girl decides to write to her colleague Ken to find out how things are going and ask for advice. At this time, the police interrogate Sangha and realize that they have no evidence against the criminal. Experts conducted an autopsy on the corpse and did not find any illegal substances, which means that it will not be possible to prove the guy's guilt. John's mother learns of the autopsy results and assumes that her daughter stole the white powder to sell it and earn a living. Using Ken's computer, the woman enters into a correspondence with her daughter, but John quickly exposes her and ends the dialogue. Wanting to find her daughter at any cost, the woman goes to the police station and reports her disappearance. At the same time, John decides to confess to Thok that he is watering a field with forbidden weed and they should find the owner to avoid future problems. Thok does not believe that there is forbidden grass growing on the farm he is tending. The girl tries to convince him and explain that it could be a criminal offense and he will end up behind bars, but the guy kicks her out of his sleeping room. Meanwhile, John's mother leaves a report on the disappearance of her daughter and asks to find her as soon as possible. The detective is skeptical and feels that the woman is faking it, but promises to help in the case. The next morning, Thok goes to the farm and by comparing the plant with photos from the internet, he becomes convinced that the girl is telling the truth. He feels responsible for watering the forbidden plant and is ready to turn himself in to the police, but John begs him not to and to find the real owner of the farm. During the lessons, the boy gets very emotional, experiencing the 5 stages of accepting reality. He denies facts, gets angry and depressed, but eventually accepts reality. Deciding to talk to the teacher who made him water the plants, but overhears him talking to some broker and suspects that the teacher is involved in dealing in illegal substances. In the evening, Guki, Ran, John and Jae tend to the plant and dream of the future after they sell the weed and make millions from it. Ran dreams of leaving the city and helping her mother as the woman suffers at work. She is constantly humiliated, insulted, and accused of things she did not do. Eventually, Ran's mother is fired, accusing her of stealing, but the girl defends her, knowing that the woman would never go on a crime spree. Upon returning home, Thok asks John to help find the owner of the farm and expose the teacher so he doesn't go to jail, as the boy needs to take care of his younger brothers and father. The next morning, the couple is going to the hotel where the teacher lives, but misses the bus. The next flight is in 3 hours, so they have to get there by bicycle. After waiting for the receptionist to leave, the couple sneak into the hotel and split up to find the teacher's room. Soon, Thok spots the teacher with a broker and decides to expose him. The guy snatches the documents out of the teacher's hands, but it turns out that he wanted to win a grant for the school and doesn't know what's growing in the field or who the real owner is. Meanwhile, John continues to check the rooms and finds a room growing illegal weed on one of the upper floors. Moments later, she hears the elevator open and someone comes out of it. The girl has nowhere to hide, but suddenly Thok appears and saves her from possible exposure. After the hotel, Thok thanks the girl for her help, believing that she wants to save him from jail. In reality, John only wants to find the owner of the weed in order to blackmail him and make good money from it. John's mother realizes that Ken is helping her runaway daughter and sets up a test. She treats the girl to alcohol, after which she warns her that there was poison in it. It turns out to be a joke, but if Ken doesn't give John's location, the next time she does say goodbye to her life. That evening, John sneaks into Jae's bedroom to propose a risky plan to him. The girl wants to steal weed from the hotel and asks him to help her without telling anything to Thok. The brothers have fallen in love with John and are jealous of her for each other, but at the same time they are ready to do anything for her, even if they end up behind bars in the aftermath. The next morning, Thok discovers that his brother and John have left home too early. As it turns out, the four friends have gathered at the farm after noticing that the crops have begun to spoil. In an attempt to save the grass, they create artificial ventilation for it. Thok finds the foursome and promises to turn Jae into the police if he continues to grow grass. Jae is adamant that his younger brother should engage in illegal activities and asks Jung to leave him out of it. In the evening, the father decides to go into his late wife's bedroom for the first time in a long time and finds John there. The sons have to tell their father everything, but he kicks the girl out into the street, not allowing her to stay the night. Since it is too late, Thok calls a cab for the girl so that she can go to a hotel for the night. This time, the receptionist doesn't ask for ID and rents her a room, informing her that John has been called. As it turns out, it's Ken, who promises to come for her friend soon. She also informs that John will soon be able to meet the very sane Peter. Ken pretends to be a friend, but has actually succumbed to John's tyrannical mother and is willing to give her location so as not to risk her own life. At night, John's mother arrives in the small town to find and brutally punish her daughter. Realizing that the police will only get in the way, she asks the detective to withdraw her missing daughter report. Meanwhile, Gookie, Ran and John continue to tend to the plants in an attempt to save them. Thok forbids his brother to go near the farm and keeps a constant eye on the trio so that Jack can't join them. A little later, the boy meets a teacher and blackmails him, demanding a double scholarship in exchange for keeping quiet about the broker and a grant for the school. As the trio continue tending to the grass, they realize they will soon have to harvest the crop. In order to make a quick buck, they need to devise a plan to dry and store the plant. Gookie, Ran, and John head to the river to rest for a while and devise a plan to sell the grass later. Thok joins them to defuse the situation and turn the planning into a vacation, making the foursome play in the water like carefree children. In the evening, they go to the house of a lonely Gookie and drink a raspberry alcoholic compote, causing them to lose control of their emotions. Gookie admits that he is in love with Ran and wants to live in this town, just to be near her. Late at night, Ran is sent home in a cab, after which she goes out with Jack, while Thok and John stroll around the city at night and admire the stars. The next morning, the guy remembers that he asked the girl out and is nervous about it. Her mother notices John at the hotel, realizing she's finally on her trail. Gookie's uncle arrives at the school to take the guy to Seoul as he is a complete orphan and lives alone. The guy is adamantly opposed and wants to sell the weed as soon as possible. He begs Joan to help, and the girl suggests robbing a hotel that is stocked full of higher quality plants. The four are ready to do anything to get rich, but at that moment John's mother appears in front of them. Realizing that the woman has an aggressive attitude, Gookie and Ran divert Mother John's attention, and Thok helps the girl escape. The mother chases them in a car, but the couple manages to escape to a field where they stay until nightfall, touching each other's hands and realizing that their sympathy is mutual. Gookie and Ran tell Jag what happened and discuss a plan to rob the hotel to sell the weed and make good money out of it. John's mother goes to the police station and reports that some guy has stolen her daughter. From the description, the policeman assumes it is his second son Jag. As the cops go to find the girl, Thok tells her why he is so protective of his family. 3 years ago, he wasn't thinking with his head and was constantly walking around, disrespecting his parents. He had an argument with his mother, causing her to be late for an important meeting and take the second bus. It was this bus that got into an accident, resulting in the loss of Thok's mother's life. The cops find Jad and realize that he is not actually with John, but his older brother. Having tracked down the pair, the cops surround them, after which the mother takes her daughter for herself. John manages to give his name to Thok and says goodbye, realizing that they are unlikely to meet again. Stopping on a bridge, the mother tries to strangle her daughter, believing she has stolen white powder from her, but the civil police arrive on the scene and arrest the woman. He deceived everyone and deliberately set the mother on her daughter. While the woman was looking for John, Ken broke into the office. After giving the assistant an injection that caused him to lose his life, the girl stole all the money, weed, and powder to start her life over in full prosperity. The police get a message from Ken and learn that John's mother is involved in selling illegal substances, so they arrive in the township to arrest her. The detective knows that John had nothing to do with what happened to Himi, but asks her to come to the station in the next few days to testify. Meeting John in the morning, Thok and his younger brother ask the girl to come to the party to watch the boy perform and call her part of their family. John is supposed to meet his friends to rob a hotel, but is forced to go to meet Ken. The girl admits that she did it all on purpose to rob her mother. Now they can split the money and start their lives with a clean slate. The friends find John and it turns out that Ken lived in this town. Her father was a bus driver and took white powder before leaving, resulting in an accident, and many of the town's residents lost family and friends, including orphan Guki and lost mother Thak. Despite hating the girl, John leaves with her, though he changes his mind because of fond memories with his friends. The five decide to finish what they started and steal the weed. Having infiltrated the hotel, they go up to the last floor and break into the very room, but it is empty. As it turns out, Ken is ahead of them here as well, stealing the plants faster than the five schoolboys. Now Thak, John, Ja, Guki and Ran are starting to have big problems.